back in patch 112, they had mentioned to me that one of the things they were doing with patch 112 is a lot of framework completion so that they would be able to rebalance changes more commonly. Now, I will say that we are seeing these balance updates more commonly. The 112 wasn't that long ago, and now we're getting some more balance updates. And this balance update really kind of focuses, and we'll go through here of these characters, but this balance update really kind of focuses on basically the characters that no one uses. Now, I've seen actually a surprising amount of negativity around this balance update. People are saying, hey, look, though I will say the Black Knight change, in my personal opinion, is a great change. I actually like this balance update, and I'll give my reason why. But I've seen a lot of people kind of giving negative opinions. And let me give you my personal opinion on why I don't think this is a bad balance update. It's because you guys are right. These characters like Azir, Basher, Bushi, Aaron, Yes, Faceless, Galcut, Hellgazer, Jingo, Hunter, Kaitis, Marksman, Soul Drinker, Torture Helm, and Woad Painted. People don't really use these characters. But in my opinion, that's probably why they need to get balanced. Like people say that they want every legendary to be useful, or they want every character to have a spot in the game, but then we complain when the rebalancing comes and they buff stuff like Azir's just base speed. You're probably like, this is a complete waste of time. No one uses Azir. But for the people that are new players, that their first, second, whatever it may be, shard they've ever opened and pulled these characters, and it's their first epic, these buffs will allow these characters to be more useful for the people that are reliant on these characters. Meaning, like, let's scroll down, okay? Let's say Faceless here, okay? His number 3 move, decrease cooldown from 5 to 3, okay? And we'll go over all of them in detail here, but just real quick, let's look at Faceless. I forget where he is. He's, was he a Dark Elf or is he a Revenant, I think, actually? Okay. There he is, Faceless. So if we look at his move, okay, his third move here, attacks one enemy, will ignore shield and block damage buffs as well as defense. Okay, so that's a pretty good move. It's going to go through everything and do some damage. But at 5 turns for a cooldown, it's basically completely useless. A 3-turn cooldown for somebody that may just start the game, and let's say that this is their first Void character they pulled. In this scenario, just having a small buff like this on this character may bump this person up from completely unusable to at least decently usable for this character, if you get my point. A lot of his moves are low cooldown, stuff like this. Now, I'm not saying this character is now suddenly good. That's not my point. You have to be able to follow my abstract train of thought here, which is that I think rebalancing characters that currently have no use to the general populace isn't necessarily a bad thing. Now, let's go over the buffs here, okay? And I wanted to kind of get that disclaimer out of the way because we're going to be going over a lot of characters that basically see no use. And I'm okay with buffing characters that see no use because we're going to slowly go through all of them. I mean, they don't see use because they are bad. We do need to buff them. Okay. So Black Knight, I actually think got a pretty good change. Now, if we look here, skill 1, heavy blow. Basically, this how it used to happen is it was a 100% chance to provoke if you critical, but now it's just a 75% chance no matter what, okay? And the damage now depends upon max HP. Whereas the skill 2, this is the biggest change to him, now places 60% increase buff instead of 30%. This makes him now a good character instead of almost completely useless. And now the third move, same thing like I was saying with Faceless, it goes from 6 to 4, so it's just a little bit more accessible. And then his final move here, the passive, is now an unkillable buff on this champion for 1 turn if incoming damage exceeds 15% max HP in 1 attack. It was 30%. Meaning it's a 2-turn cooldown, meaning like if you're doing clan boss with him, for instance, he could eat every punch and have it be unkillable. Now I'm going to look real quick at Black Knight and just show you in a little bit more detail why this is good. Now this right here is the main win. It's a 2-turn cooldown now with a continuous heal and 60% increase defense buff on all allies. That means he has a 100% uptime on increased defense as well as continuous healing. This is unique to him. No one else has this 100% uptime on both of these within the same move. This is actually a pretty good move now, and in my personal opinion, he is now a usable character for people that need this kind of sustained and tanky stats, as well as having some AoE on 4-turn cooldowns. Nice. It provokes like okay, not that great. And then the unkillable buff here, this is a pretty big deal because it's every 2 turns, so Relentless or Reflex Gear, something like that, and this is coming up fairly often. Okay, now going over the other moves, Azir gets the 10 base speed, Basher, which is one of the fusion characters here, gets a buff on this A1, which increases the chance of placing the weaken for 2 turns to 75% instead of 30%. That's a pretty big buff and actually makes him kind of useful. Weaken on a basic's pretty good for an epic. And the effect change for the skill 2, it's now guaranteed to increase the cooldown of all target skills by 1. It used to only do it if you had block buffs. So that's actually a pretty big buff across the board. This is a nice change because people who may not be able to do the fusion, let's say free-to-play people that can fuse just Basher, this makes just Basher better during a time when you can actually fuse him. So this is a nice change as well. If you're not doing the Torment Fuser, maybe consider collecting Basher at this time. Bushy was a completely useless character, so it's good to see him get an ally speed in Arena. This makes him have the potential to be able to do something, at least. I mean, something, at least an ally aura speed for early game people that don't have that option. I don't really care about this stuff. I don't really think increasing his damage or decreasing the cooldown is suddenly going to make him any better. Now, Aaron, yes, got a buff here, increases debuff chance and duration. Now has a 90% chance of placing a 2.5% poison, which goes up to 5% when ascended. So it's the good poison, 90% for 2 turns. What's a 30% chance of placing for 1 turn? So that's huge. Now Aaron, yes, actually has a 5% poison for 2 turns on basic. That means this character is now a good free-to-play poisoner character because you're basically going to be placing a 5% poison every single time on basic attack. So if you're trying to get a clan boss poison character, this one is now viable as much as like Kale, for instance. Faceless, we've already gone over. Then Galcut here is kind of interesting because he's a bomb character, and I think hopefully they're trying to slowly buff the bomb people, because if you look, now he has a chance of placing decreased defense debuff for 2 turns, the 60% one instead of the 30%. That's a huge buff. And then he also now places a bomb debuff that detonates after 2 turns, guaranteed on this 3rd move, instead of only 75% chance of one they'll doing after 3 turns. So that's a pretty big bomb buff for bomb teams. Hellgazer got the same treatment as Azure did, where they gets 10 extra speed. Jingo Hunter gets kind of a cool additional move, which is increase the debuff chance, but now has a 90% chance of placing a freeze debuff on all enemies for 1 turn if this kills a target instead of 50%. So some more potential for early game Jingle Hunter to be useful in Arena. I think they're trying to give people more access in Arena earlier, or for people that don't have access to legendary characters. And then Kaitis here, now can do the healing reduction for 2 turns instead of requiring it to have a continuous heal. This is a buff for like going through Spirit Keep. Spikes here, now the attacks will be critical if he has any buffs instead of just continuous heal, and that's just a minor buff. It doesn't make Kaitis amazing. It makes him maybe a little bit better in Spirit, as well as being a little better maybe in Fire Knight. Now, Marksman here. This is actually a pretty cool move. Now places a 5% poison debuff for 2 turns, which makes him a better poisoner once again in Clan Boss. Much like Aaron, yes, if you have Marksman, now you have a decent early game Clan Boss poisoner. Soul Drinker is another bomb person, so it now decreases the bomb debuff count by 1 instead of only if they had poison debuff, meaning that this move here will allow these bomb teams to be better once again. And if you look here, this is just more bomb buff stuff, 75% chance instead of 50% chance, and this guarantees that the bombs will be placed instead of just being an 80% chance when he dies. So again, some bomb buffs. I really hope they're focusing on the bombs. That's kind of what it looks like, because I have a feeling they're probably going to come out with like a bomb legendary or something in the New Year's for like, think fireworks and all that. I was thinking, so they're probably going to try slip some bomb stuff in there. I would think it would make sense, you know, thematic wise. Plus they're doing a lot of like preparing the bomb stuff now. If you look, Torture Helm just got some minor buffs. It used to be a 50% chance to revive. Now he is revived with 50% health, but he's still not a good character and got some minor damage increase. And then Wold Painted here, he was the champion by 100% health for skill 2. And the 3rd move is now proportional to the champion's max HP instead of current HP. So Wold Painted, not really a big deal. Torture Helm, not a big deal. Soul Drinker and Galcut got buffed for bombs. Marksman and Aaron, yes, got buffed for early game Clan Boss poisoners. Kaitis is okay in like Spirit Keep and Fire Knight now. Faceless and Azure and Bushy all got like minor buffs, and the major buffs were Black Knight and Basher. Basically, Black Knight being the big win with that 100% uptime on 60% decreased defense up, as well as continuous heal. All right, I think this was a pretty good patch. All in all, I think that Plarium did a pretty good job with the rebalancing. I don't think that they overtune anything. They're maybe a little on the safe side, but I think it's fine going back to some of these characters that basically get no love or no use at all and giving them minor buffs. I like that. Regardless of if the community's saying, well, we only want Marshall to be fixed or whatever, they go back, they work on some of the epics that they think need to be slight increase in power, and that will overall help the average player. Me, myself, I want to see huge sweeping changes for legendaries, for all my legendary vault characters that I have, because I spend lots of money, but realistically, for the health and longevity of the game, we do need to see balance changes for the average player. And so I am happy to see some of the more just standard characters getting some love. I think that's good. I think it's encouraging. And I think it also goes to show that hopefully what they said about patch 112 being that they added in, framework stuff so that way they can add in more balances, more common, is true. If that's true, that encourages me a lot, especially since they said more legendaries are coming. Obviously, I want to see huge sweeping legendary changes with all my Vault Guardians, but the legendary changes, there are more still coming in patch 113, I've been told, like Shamrock and everything. So you guys are going to see another Shamrock video, because I, honest to God, didn't know, but apparently the info was already out there when I made the video that Shamrock is getting like a buff. So I had like fully gone into him, and then I found it out like right after I did the video. So Shamrock 2.0 is coming. Hit the bell if you want to be notified of that one, guys. Okay, I love y'all. And at the end of the video here, quick plug. This is a 100%. You can end the video here if you want, because this is just a 100% sellout plug for myself at the end here. I've been playing some other games on BlueStacks, and one I've been trying out is Rise of Kingdoms. Now, you guys have probably seen this ad. I'm not going to do an ad for you. You guys have seen the ads everywhere on YouTube, whatever. If you want to try the game out and you feel like trying a new game, I'm going to put the link for Rise of Kingdoms at the top this time. It's just through BlueStacks, like all of these plugs I do. You can click, download it. I'll get a kickback. You can try the game out. All right. And review of Black Desert Online is coming. All right. Cheers. Love y'all. Bye-bye.